Hello, everyone. Happy New Year's Eve. Welcome to the Year at a Glance. I don't think we've done one of these in a while, and I thought it would be a lot of fun if we did it on New Year's Eve. This is going to be something that you can come back to and refer to throughout the year. And what I'm going to do is basically the whole reading will be in the flow. As I'm kind of inspired to look at different things, I will. But the main spread is going to be a calendar spread of the year. So we can see quarter by quarter what to expect. And if we need to kind of drill into any of those particular months, we will do just that. Before I get started, Apollo is behind me, hiding behind the pillow, chilling out. He's doing great. So thank you guys for all of your support and questions on Apollo. I'm feeling a lot better too. And over the course of the next, what are we on Tuesday? So the next 3 or 4 days, I'm going to try to get as many videos done as I can. So by next weekend, hopefully all of the January videos should be up. So if you haven't already done so, it's a perfect time to subscribe if you're brand new. That way you'll get all the notifications. And you can also follow me on social media as well to make sure that you see that. Without any further delay, let's begin. So my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and I like to show up for weekly, daily, monthly videos, and then also for special events like this where we really get a chance to set into motion some new things. So for members and Patreon supporters, I actually put a post up asking if there was something specific that you need me to focus on. I'll look at that after we do the month-by-month spread, so you still have a chance to put in a question if you want. And then let's just see where the cards take us, okay? So without, like I said, any further delay, let's get started. We have a lot to look at. Happy New Year's, everybody, New Year's Eve. And if you haven't already taken a look at the new moon video that I did yesterday, I think this would also be a nice compliment because we have the two portals of energy, the new moon, which is still present, and then the new year. And as I was saying on the weekly collective on Sunday, I think this is a really good time to approach it as like possibilities, dreams, not so much work, like I have to fix this or I have to do this. We'll look a little at that later, but like make one of your dreams or one of your intentions really fun. That's my advice. Before we begin, let's clear our minds. Whatever you came into this reading thinking or wanting to know, just let it go. Let's imagine that you are watching the rising sun, a brand new day, a brand new year just upon us, and you feel that radiance and light and protection coming through from the sun, wrapping you like a cocoon of energy. If you want to, you can even imagine that you create a circle around your body. With this protection set, let's call in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. And I'm going to pull one card for each month of the new year. I'm going to do it in 3-month sort of increments here because it'll be easier to remember where I'm at in the spread. Probably because we're going to run out of room, I'll put the final 3 months over here. Okay, so let's, like we do with every reading, also pull a catalyst, but this is going to be not just for any particular month, but the entire year. And then if I feel like I need to clarify any of the months, I will do that. Okay, it's hidden by the microphone here, but the catalyst for the year ahead for 2025 is heart healing. And we have these beautiful bleeding hearts, which I believe represent death and rebirth, sometimes even a funerary kind of flower. But it's an opening of the heart space. And in one of the latest weekly collectives, I remember like the Three of Swords kept coming through as like one of the areas that needs to be improved. So healing above all else, healing yourself, healing your finances, healing your relationships. This is a chance to really rebound. And I love that we're focusing on the growth and the overflowing energy of the waterfall behind all of this. So once the heart is open, it opens us up to receiving, to observing, because have you ever noticed some of the most pivotal cards in tarot are the perspective shifting ones, like the Three of Cups, the Four of Cups, even yesterday's card, the Eight of Cups, because sometimes we need to take a step back and see what's out there, see what's around us. So let's make sure that you're doing that periodically throughout the year to make sure that you understand, first of all, how far you've come, how strong you are, and what the universe wants to bring forth for you, okay? So yeah, beautiful bleeding heart, but it's not really bleeding. This is growth here. So it's kind of this just beautiful energy around the heart healing. We'll look at that. I'm going to look at love at the end of this reading. So I decided like one of the tertiary topics that never gets picked is love. So we'll look at it from a couple of perspectives, like loving and forgiving and healing yourself. And then let's see what's coming through for relationships. We'll do that at the end. First, before we get into any specificity, I just want each month to have its own sort of moment. And that's what this main spread is going to be. Okay, let's start off with the first month of the year. It's going to be busy. January's busy. We have the Eight of Wands, and this person is running up the stairs, trying to keep the pace, trying to catch up. I love that the sun is underneath all of this. We were using that in the meditation at the beginning. So things are starting to move. It's also a perfect symbol for a new year, a new sun, new solar rotation. So I feel like January is bringing forth the ability to be very productive when it comes to work, to projects, to any of the dreams, aspirations, or resolutions that you're trying to bring forth. And the main thing here is don't get ahead of yourself, one step at a time. Have you ever noticed with little kids in particular, we don't really usually do this as adults, but sometimes they'll run up the stairs or run down, and you don't do it as an adult because you don't want to fall and break something. Kids don't kind of worry so much, but if you skip a step, not only is there more of a risk of like a setback, an injury, a misstep, but you could also be missing something important. So each step is important. Don't rush to the finish line. Try to savor the moment. And I really feel like there's a lot of positive energy coming through. What you're going to need to be focusing on with Eight of Wands is slowing down, getting ample rest, possibly multitasking and making sure that if you need some help with this, that there's someone to kind of keep you accountable to your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, and things of that nature. But overall, it's a good start to the new year, and I like this. So January looks great. Let's move on to February. So we have the Moon card in reverse coming through for the second month of the year, and it's basically saying this is a period during which you're going to be facing some of your fears or anxieties or asked to dig a little deeper. So this is the first month that I think this catalytic card comes through. There could be something from the past where you're like, I've protected myself. I don't want to experience that again. And I'm afraid maybe to put myself out there. Don't limit yourself because of a fear of rejection or failure. That's never a good reason. But do go into that feeling and think, well, what do I need to do to heal so that I know that I'm strong enough, so that I know that I've learned the lesson? The moon is a powerful and reflective card. If it's in the upright position, it represents the gravity to pull things in a new direction. A little bit of work is required with the moon card. So with the moon and the sun, basically what happens, not the moon and the sun, the moon and the earth, they tug at each other, right? Tidal forces. If we were to look at our planet, it would be a little bit more egg-shaped because of the moon. That's really what happens with the oceans as the moon is moving around it. The tidal forces pull that. So when I look at the moon, I see the ability to pull something, but I also see a tug of war, where sometimes you're going to have to, one day there'll be a little bit more progress than the other day. It's give and take. So try not to get discouraged with the effort that's being put forth. See it as a dance. That's really what the earth and the moon do. And interestingly enough, I'm not a physicist, nor am I an astronomer. But basically, it's not necessarily that the sun and the moon rotate around, that the earth and the moon rotate around the sun, but there's actually like central gravity points. So it's a dance of all of these objects together. And so, yeah, some days it's going to be easy, some days a little bit more challenging, some days emotions could be brought to the surface, but it all averages out in the end. The important thing with the moon card is that you pay attention to signs and signals when they arise. Now there is, speaking of illusions, speaking of tricky elements, when this card comes through, and again, we're looking at February if you just joined, what can happen sometimes is a person shows their true colors, and it may not be what you expected. This is a manageable card without respect, like I'd rather get the moon than the devil or the moon than the Seven of Swords, but usually there's still a need to speak up and say, wait a second, are we on the same page? Or legitimately, we discussed this, you're doing this, stop. So sometimes you need to address that because there could be someone that's just trying to get away with something. It could also just be you. One of the comments in, I think, the member post was like the inner saboteur. So this is one of the saboteur cards where sometimes we just convince ourselves, no one will notice. It doesn't matter. I can do this. It does matter in the long game, and also on a soul level, because we signed up to do things right, not to take unnecessary shortcuts, not to get away with stuff. So stay accountable, keep others accountable, call things out when they need to be called out, pay attention to emotional triggers. And if you do this, you're fine, and you'll probably find your power. This is a good time to tune into intuition, to be creative, and to realize, like I said, it's a dance of creation. Things will get done, but it could take the better part of the month to kind of see everything where you want it to be. All right, so a fantastic January. February is going to be tugging at you in different places. As we look at March, we have temperance coming through. Reversed, impatience. This is the biggest challenge. But the biggest benefit in this card is guidance. So there's always an angelic entity on the temperance card, and it's trying to help you see the path. And there's always a path if it's a Rider-Waite-Smith derivative card. So there's something waiting, but temperance wants you to find your balance. So usually there's 2 cups, and it's trying to balance things out. There's 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land. They did a good job with this. The only thing missing on this one is the cups. So one step at a time, and take a moment to read the room. Temperance is not hasty. It's methodical, it's planned, it's prepared, and it's patient. And patience will help you win the long game in this particular card and this particular month. So the 3rd month of the year is saying, you're not where you want to be at the beginning, but don't rush. Common theme of 2025, don't rush. And don't second guess yourself. And not only that, take a moment to see who might have your back. Spirit's coming through, but Spirit doesn't speak with a megaphone. It speaks more subtly. It can speak through the energy of resistance. So if, like we talked about this tug of war in February, if something is too hard, temperance is saying, maybe look here, maybe look there, maybe try this. So just exploring all of the options, all of the paths, that's going to help you. And ultimately, you are being guided. You just have to tune into the guidance. So it can be a very good month, provided that you don't force something to fit if it doesn't, and you don't rush. So there we go. Common theme in the first quarter. If we look at all 3 cards together, great period of productivity in the first quarter. There could be some things that come up that need to be dealt with, but it's coming through in the 2nd month, so you don't have to deal with it later in the year, and that's a blessing. And then just being patient, because sometimes there are arbitrary deadlines that we put on ourselves, parents, teachers, bosses, society. It can be anything like getting married, having kids, buying a house, working a certain job. These are just projections. And so that's why this was helping you see through the projector and to you. You're the one that you should be living your life, not a projected reality of your life, okay? Let's move forward. Now we're into the 2nd quarter. We looked at January, February, March. Now we're going to look at April. April's good. The universe is saying, still slow down a little bit. Knight of Swords, one of the fastest moving cards in the minor arcana. It represents the ability to cut through red tape, to reach a larger audience, because sometimes your communication is just more impactful. You can say less and it gets to more people. You might be looking at wiser ways to communicate. All of these things are good. But a knight reversed is contemplative. It's thinking to itself, before I speak, what am I trying to say? Before I act, because swords are action and thought, what is this going to accomplish? Is it aligned? So I really feel like this is a GPS checkpoint. So the 4th month of the year, you are looking at, where do I stand? What do I want? Where is this taking me? It's a good question. And often we are so focused on just getting something finished that we don't ask ourselves, why? Why am I doing this? So I think it's beginning in March, but by the time April comes in, you're getting decisive on it and saying, I'm doing it because of this. okay, now I can move forward. Now, if you don't like something, this is a chance for you to say, you know what, I need to make a change directionally, ideologically, whatever. You get to change your mind and change your direction and then successfully go through the rest of the year. So this is a turning point, the 4th month of the year. Now we're going to May, right? January, February, March, April, May, 5. So we have justice in reverse. You can say no. You can fight for what's right. It's important in this period of time, in fact, for you to find what makes you feel balanced. So we want to take this and make it this. Now, it's interesting that she's walking a tightrope. This illustration is tied thematically to the Two of Pentacles. In the Two of Pentacles, we see someone not always feeling balanced. In some decks, you'll even see them walking a tightrope. I don't expect that by the time I get to justice. So I'm going to infer from that there needs to be a better resource allocation. We could actually read this as time and energy management. And when you say no, then you're also saying yes to what matters. Justice has a sword, and it's going to use that sword to create movement and action, but it's important to cut something out. And it could be a relationship, it could be an activity, it could be a person. Whatever it is, there's a tie that needs to be cut. And when that happens, then the scales are balanced. This is a time to look at all contractual documents, make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to, again, any promises, any obligations, anything financial, anything legal. If something isn't right, fight for it. The last thing with justice, and people don't always read it as this, but it's decision time. A justice makes up their mind on something. And when the card comes through, the big difference between justice and judgment is there's decision. The scales are being weighed in justice. In judgment, you have Gabriel blowing its horn. It's already been decided. It's either you're sharing it or you're dealing with the judgment. But in justice, you're weighing it out. And so some of you need to decide. And only you can decide for yourself what it is that you need to be focusing on. But what you're thinking to me, like, Nicholas, what does that mean? It means that you need to tell people what you want. If you want to quit a job, or if you want to start a job, or if you want to go deeper in a relationship, you need to be decisive on what you want, not wait for somebody else to make up your mind for you. It's kind of like a maturation card, an adulting card, if you will. This is your moment to step into your power, take that sword that is at the top of it and say, I want this. And it's, almost at the center, of this first 3-quarter period here. So this will help set you into a good trajectory. So after this comes this ability to move forward. So it's interesting. We kind of have, we have a reverse knight, reverse justice, then an upright knight. And now we can see ideas move forward here. We just looked at May. Now let's take a look at June. If I can pull the card up. All right. So we have the Knight of Wands, that cute little salamander on this card. It actually shows the ability to be flexible in your thought when you really think of a salamander. They move quickly, they're agile, they can squeeze in and out of situations. So I actually feel like your innovation is hitting a high point by the time you get to the 6th month of the year, June. I feel like you may actually feel more inspired, pick up more speed. So any of you that are feeling like, I need to make more progress, this needs to happen faster, be patient. It's happening in exactly the amount of time that it needs to be happening. Let's see here if there's anything else. I love that it's like face-to-face, eye-to-eye. If there's a conversation that needs to be had, if there's something that needs to get done, your presence and your ability to that's why you have to get decisive first. So figuring out where you want to go, being decisive about it, and then doing it. This is going to create a splash. Because if you're not sure, then people aren't going to buy into your ideas. You're going to have a hard time moving things forward. But I do feel like by the time we get to the 6th month of the year, that things are really stable. April, May, and June, it's really about finding your footing, okay? Great time for career, for personal development, for movement, for love. This is passion. So this is a great time to focus more on other relationships. I do feel like a lot of the healing and recalibration happened in the first 5 months. And by the 6th month, you found that balance. I would hope so, because that is the midpoint. All right, now let's take a look at, we just looked at June, let's take a look at July. It's time to take care of yourself. Strength card in reverse. Oftentimes, this represents the point where your battery is depleted. And it's kind of like a phone that continually is not charged and keeps going to zero. At a certain point, it doesn't hold the charge as much. So if you're not careful, it's going to be harder to get things done. So pace yourself. That's what I'm seeing. Put a focus on physical and mental health. Absolutely, as we're looking at July. Also, there just may be certain relationships that aren't worth the expenditure of your time and energy. I'm going to find the traditional card while we're talking, but you know, with the strength card, you can get your way usually. You can quote unquote win, but as with all things in life, there's a cost. It's either going to cost time, energy, or money, right? And the cost may not balance out. When I find the card here, you'll see the traditional card just shows someone putting their hand in the mouth of a beast, and you don't want to constantly have to get someone to see it your way, to agree with you, to do what they said they were going to do. And so she's doing it this time, and she may have done it a few times, but if she has to keep doing it, it's exhausting. It's even a little bit dangerous. One of those times, maybe the lion, closes its mouth. We have a peaceful energy in this one, and it's basically saying, when it comes to people in your life, this is especially important for your parents or your children or your siblings. There comes a point where you just can't change certain people. Like, you can show them the path, like Temperance was trying to do earlier in the year. You can say, well, you could try this, but you can't force them there. The moon also reminds you it's a tug of war. And I think this is when the tug of war ends for some of you. You're like, let bygones be bygones. If you want to do that, do that. I'm going to focus on using my power and my energy to, it looks like she's working on herself rather than working on someone else. That's the difference in the two illustrations. In this one, it's control. And in this one, it's personal development. And it's synergy. How can we work together? How can we complement one another? I don't want to have to change you in order for us to be in a relationship or for us to work together. Control and focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. There could also be someone in your life. A lot of times this is a parent or a boss, but whoever this authority figure is, you may need to take a step back and just say, this is me, take me or leave me. This is what I stand for. You're creating better boundaries, kind of like we did when we were doing the meditation at the beginning. Creating that circle, that boundary, and saying, you don't get to go past this. You don't get to weigh in past this, okay? It is a power month, however, and so I do feel like you can get a lot done, okay? So overall, I like July, but I do think that there is a tipping point in relationships and activities where there might be a point where you just have to say, enough now, I got to focus on myself, or I can only affect this to a certain degree, and past that, it's just me spinning my wheels, okay? Let's take a look at August. Really good card. Even though it's reversed, it's a good card. 3 of Wands represents your ships coming in, something coming to fruition. Now, what I love about this illustration is the 3 wands, it's kind of illustrated as like your hand or your fingers. So don't be afraid to reach out. I always like active 3 of Wands rather than one where they're just sitting at the top of the hill waiting for something to happen. So what we're seeing here is it's a time to roll up your sleeves, to really focus on doing what matters to you, to also reach out. And if you see someone that may be interested or that may have kind of like a possible alignment with you, go for it and just say, hey, what do you think? Because that can help you manifest faster. And that's always one of the common questions, like, how can I bring in abundance quicker? Or how can I get this done faster? So by reaching out and just sort of asking, because I'm going to show you that, again, the traditional illustration here is passive, is definitely, they're tuned in here. They're at the top of the mountain or hill, looking around, waiting to see like, oh, is that what I want? Is that what I want? Oh, look, this stuff is happening now. But in this one, It's a lot more like, I want this. Let's do this. Come here. So I do like the active energy of this. As with any Three of Wands, you can also be your own biggest block. So if you think to yourself, it has to happen here, now, or from that person, you're limiting where it can happen. This one is reaching out and saying, well, what do you think? You could try something different and it could happen quicker. So being open to all directions, all dimensions, all sort of possibilities, that's the big takeaway here. August, where am I at? So yes, in August, it's really about looking around and making sure that you haven't, just like I had to take count, like where am I at? What am I doing? What are we looking at? Exactly what you want to do in August. And it is very fruitful. This, from a time perspective, is usually now. So sometimes people will ask me, when will this happen? I don't do private readings, but if I was doing a private reading for someone or if I was reading for myself, the answer would be, dude, it's already happened and it's happening now. Don't waste any more time wondering where or if, just get out there. So there's an immediacy with this to just sort of like embrace. Okay? Embrace it, believe it, see it, do it. And create it if you don't see it around you. Okay? Let's look at September. Another night slowing down. Okay, so this time the night is looking at I really do feel like it's reflective. How far have I come? So it's almost like they went, and he's looking at a map on this too. So I feel like he's looking at the path that Temperance laid out January, February, in March. So there's that path on the Temperance card. Take it slow, take it easy. And he's reminding himself, let me slow down for a second, look at the map. Am I tracking? So this is a great month to be accountable. It's also, we're looking at resources and a reversal. I want this, I need this, or this is missing. That's what a knight will do. They go out and they find the resource. For those of you that are a producer, an accountant, an investigator, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to hit the pavement and figure it out. And this is a great time to go out there and say, well, it's not here. Where can I find it? And if somebody's not delivering, you knock on the door and you say, wait, we're overdue on this. Where is it? What's going on? So ask if you need it, seek it, and you may find it. Look around. Don't just wait and don't ignore it, because we can go from a place of deficit to debt, and we don't want it to become like a permanent thing. Right now, it's just missing, and there's a chance to find it if you articulate that. Personal development is also coming through. So many of you may decide right now just to focus a little bit more on going back to school, taking care of yourself, etc. So if you just joined, we're in the third quarter of the year. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. We're looking at September right now. And so in September, you're slowing down, you're looking at resources, you're asking for help if you need to, and you're taking care of yourself as well if you're lacking that. Now let's look at the last 3 months of 2025. So October is really powerful because we have the Traveler's card, and because of that, I will pull an extra. I look at this as one beyond the world, which means that there's a surprise and things could go bigger. Where can they go bigger? What do you need to be paying attention to? So you have the star power, but you're holding back a little bit. Let's look at these two. So October 2025, Travelers is also, we can take it at face value. It's saying, get out, explore, try new things, collaborate with others. And what you're trying to complete or release or put out there can go so much bigger. But the clarifying card on this one is the Hermit reverse, coming out of your shell. This is one of the most, it's almost like eerie, beautiful. It's very metaphysical, this card. So normally the lantern is the star is in the lantern. What we see now is that the star is within. And I always mention that there's an inner discovery with the Hermit, but when it's reversed, it's time. It's time to let go of the cloak and just be the light. I had a character I wrote about in one of my in my book that I did a few years back. And it wore a cloak because it was a star that had just gone supernova, and it was kind of like trying to figure itself out. So sometimes that's what I look at this card, and it is just sort of like you're recollecting and reorganizing your thoughts. But at this point, you're more ready to to sort of be seen and to be heard than you might think. Perfectionist tendencies are coming forth. Spirit's saying you're your own worst enemy. In October, just do it. Just let it go. Get out of your headspace. And it's really important to mix and mingle and get out and meet new people. This is a pivotal period during which you can expand your social spheres, your professional networks, and also just go beyond what you thought you could do. Right now, it's the most powerful month of the year, okay? Let's look at November 2025. Some of you are deciding to learn something new. You may be putting things into writing, whether it's a contract, whether it's financial documents, perhaps creative writing, anything where you would put it into an illustration, a blueprint, or a document. This is something powerful that will then, like it's even like a curriculum or a reference thing that it's almost like a passive income in that perspective where you can make more from it. Take the time to put it down into writing, to record it. Recipes, stuff like that, it's all part of this. Education is also contained within the Eight of Pentacles. Going back to school, we talked a couple months earlier when the Knight Pentacles reverse came through that you may be deciding to go back to school. So maybe this is the month where you're taking on that course or saying, let's do this, okay? Of all of the months where you're rolling up your sleeves, this is the month where it's really important to kind of do that, like roll up your sleeves, hands-on work, and kind of like pedal to the metal. You can get a lot done during this period. It's actually second only to, I would say, January and November are really very similar. The only difference in January is you're kind of you've already done the work and it's just keeping the pace. Now you're setting into motion a new future Eight of Wands. So this is a time where you will see a return on the energy, but you just have to make time. Make time to do what you said you were going to do. It's worth the exchange. There are two cards that are associated with learning in the minor arcana, and that would be the Three of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is more internship, apprenticeship, and sort of like absorbing. And then Three of Pentacles is more mastery. So you're not supposed to be an expert here. You're supposed to learn. And that's also what this is releasing. The Hermit wants to know it all. And you have to let go of this and say, I've got some things to learn. I'm going to focus on this. Maybe I don't know everything. So know what you know what you don't. Get the support and the information that you need. It's a great month for learning. It's a great month for finances overall. Can we just celebrate, by the way, that financially speaking, I think, is that the first Pentacles? Yeah, no, second. We have two Pentacles cards. They're both pretty good. We don't have any towers in this year. We're looking at you, not the world overall. I'm just specifically looking at you. So it feels like there's a little bit of a recalibration here towards the middle, but you start to find your pacing towards the latter part. Now let's take a look at the end of the year. So it's interesting. Now I feel like we're going back to the catalyst. So we have King of Cups in reverse, and it's almost like a fish swimming in the wrong direction. In the case of salmon, that can be good, but otherwise it's like, I'm tired of having to push. Okay, there may be certain things in your life where you don't have to. You're allowed to be happy. It's one of the divine rights when you come into this planet. Love and joy are part of that. Make sure that you're experiencing love and joy in your life and having some fun and taking care especially of your emotional well-being. So December, 1 year from now, if you play your cards right, no pun intended, we could have this in the upright position, and it could be a month of extreme joy, extreme receptivity, like a lot can come in and you can receive it, and a lot of like love and connection and happiness and creativity. But what's necessary, and I think that's why this was our catalyst, is you have to heal yourself. And we're going to look at that. That's one of the first extended topics that I'm going to focus on. Just to kind of keep it manageable, I'll do one last review and then I'll have to move the cards off this screen here so we have room for other things. So I'm going to do a quarter by quarter review and then we'll move on. First quarter, keeping the pace, keeping yourself and others accountable, and not rushing. January, February, March. April, May, and June. Making your mind up. We could just sum it up, all three of these, and then following through on that passion. But you're creating better balance in your life, time, energy, and money, and you are realizing I'm the one that has to decide. July, August, and September, letting go of relationships and activities and people that just aren't willing to meet you halfway and are taking too much of your time and energy. Focusing instead on what it is that you want to do and possibly moving in a different direction. You have 2 months here where you might decide to kind of go in a new direction. So April, September. April and September, you're possibly saying, you get 2 chances basically also to say, if not now, then, and you really need to make your mind up by then. The last 3 months are fantastic. There's something pivotal, breakthrough, unexpected that really pulls you out of your comfort zone. October is magical. I'll have to look into the astrology to see what's going on with the planets that month, but there's something really powerful that can change your trajectory. And you may also be inspired to go into a different path in November. Take care of yourself and really just feel worthy and ready to receive. That's the big takeaway 1 year from now, okay? Beautiful spread overall. All right, I'm gonna take the cards off now because we're gonna have to look at some other things. Because we got this energy around healing, I want to focus on that first. And because we don't always get a chance to look at love, we're gonna start off with, I'm gonna go deeper into love. That's the first thing. So it's a mini special topic on love. In order to look at love, we have to figure out how you feel about yourself. So the first 3 cards are past, present, and future energies around self-love, self-care, and self-healing. Really dealing with this card since it came forth. Thank you for the person that said we have an eclipse. That makes sense then. You're seeing something within. That's why the Hermit came through. All right. I have an almanac and a couple other things, so I'll look at that in a moment too. Okay, so we're looking at you. How do you feel about yourself? Let's pull one oracle card on this too. Okay, so I'm going to start with the oracle card first. Everybody's favorite insect here, the arachnid, the spider. Creativity, manifestation, and details. I actually love spiders as a symbol because they are very self-reliant. Every morning they can create a web. They can say, I want this, I'm ready for my meal, I'm ready for my abundance, and they trap it. That's why a lot of times you will see the spider, it's actually like 3 different areas. You can see it in the Wheel of Fortune, you can see it in the Ten of Pentacles, and the trapping energy is why sometimes it's on the Devil card. So you don't want to get tied up in your own web of beliefs because it can also be limiting, or other people's webs where they're like, you can only do this, or they pull you in to their own drama. Cut the cord. The spider can snip the web, can snip the strings. Instead, say, this is what I want, this is what I stand for, and you are your own best agent of manifestation. When it comes to yourself and accepting yourself, be creative. If you don't like what you see, you can change it, right? And don't get so caught up in the details. I really feel like it's encouraging you to go big picture on this one too. So you have the power to change if you want to, and you are more self-reliant and self-capable. Maybe the self-awareness is what needs to come through, but all those other things are already in the mix. So what I see here is a lack of passion or a lack of love, because this represents passion. So just focusing on looking at yourself, and it's not like a vanity thing where it's like, ooh, I love myself. It's more like, I have compassion for who I am. I love that I have been able to withstand these things. I love that I'm working on this. Use love and put something positive, especially today, because we're between a new moon and a new year. Think about what it is that you see as a very positive quality. Look at something that you want to heal and open yourself up to receive. I want, and I'm ready, and I'm worthy of receiving more love, more happiness. But love yourself first. I think some of you are protecting the heart space. 4 of Pentacles is saying, if I just hold myself like a blanket, if I push back potential hurt, I won't get hurt. I'll be safe, but you also won't grow. So one thing that is being encouraged is to take a deep breath, and I think we just talked about this in the weekly collective. It's the fortress around your heart coming through again, letting it go. And knowing that you are strong enough, certainly because we saw the strength card come through, You are strong enough to deal with anybody or anything. You can say no, you can push back, but you have to open up a little bit. Also, this is saying it's not enough. Something may not be enough anymore. It could be not enough money, not enough love, not enough time, not enough energy. There's something that isn't giving you what you need. And if it's not giving, it's okay. You can move in a new direction. And then really just saying, I'm worth it. Like the silly hair commercial from the 80s and 90s, or I deserve it, or whatever it was. I think it was Sybil Shepherd that used to be on that. So yes, you are worthy of it, whatever it is that you seek, but you really have to believe it. And it's not just faking it till you make it. You have to believe it first. So I think the very first thing is really focusing on loving and seeing worth in yourself. And then saying, I want this. Because then other people will look at you and think love and worth. They see it, they feel it. And then they're like, okay, I can connect with that because it's already there. Also, love yourself enough to say no. Love yourself enough to say, I need more than this. I want more than this. Don't settle. 4 of Pentacles is the devil you know. So the devil you know is still a devil. You can do better. Don't settle for less. Okay? Let's move on. So now let's take a look at what you are calling in the way of love and relationships and opportunities. Let's see, maybe we'll use a different deck for this. What are you calling in? We see you, Temperance. All right, we're just going to look at these upright. It's really interesting that they all came through reversed. So this would be for those of you that are trying to pull in new love or new relationships after having done the work that we just talked about. Kind of interesting here is we have almost like 2 different versions of the 3 of Cups. So what I do see coming forth is the ability to pull in deeper relationships. Star people, universal knowledge. By the way, we're all star people. Every single thing on this planet, from the sweater to my hair to the microphone to the window, it's all made from stardust. A few stars exploded over time, created heavy metal and matter, and all of this dust recombined and a new star formed, but we're all star people, we're all stardust. We've all lived before, we'll live again, we're living now. And so this is helping you realize, here's the big takeaway from that way out there comment. Someone else is no better than you, nor are you better than they. There's a lot of commonality between all of us. It's what we do with the stardust that matters. So you do you, and focus on finding other people that are in the same resonance and are not overly competitive, overly judgmental, condescending, or anything, because there's no reason to be. We all have the same potential. We just don't all have the same starting point. We don't all have the same resources. Some of us get more at the beginning, some of us get more in the middle, some of us get more at the end. Some of us have more throughout, but that doesn't make us better. It just means that there's different starting points. It's like different stars have more energy to kind of, it doesn't make it better or worse. So see yourself as worthy. This is going to help you with the worthy piece. And when you meet someone, they're not out of your league if they're talking to you. And you're not out of their league if they're talking to you. There's something resonating. This will help you not get in your head when it comes to a job interview, a first date, or love and relationships overall. See yourself on the level. There's a reason Justice came through imbalanced. She needs to feel equal, greater than or equal to, but let's just focus on the neutrality, equal standing, okay? So, thematically, like again, this was the first and second quarters, slow down. Pay attention to the signs and the signals, and then choose the path and choose the direction. You're going to have options. Here's the good news. There are options. So you get to be discerning, and you don't need to feel this sense of, I have to settle. So getting you out of the Four of Pentacles is the fact that I don't see a need to settle. Allow yourself to mix, mingle, explore new paths, new people. And we're getting Three of Cups, more than one option. We're getting star people here, similar resonance. Now, this isn't you meet someone and immediately decide to pick out China and move into the same place and all of that. This is taking your time. So pause, be thoughtful, and enjoy the courtship, and enjoy the process, and enjoy the dance. And this can be applied to anything, whether it's a friendship, a business relationship, or love. I'm looking at relationships, but relationships are everywhere. Just don't rush it. My dog is in the other room because he just wants to be in the sun. But when I got him as a rescue back in 2017, and I've talked about this before, but he just, the hardest thing was just getting him to drink water and eat and not hide underneath the bed, because he had come from such trauma and drama that I was like, oh, we gotta start from the basics, the beginning. So I took my time, and now he's like just a little bundle of love, and he's super resilient because of what he just came through. But it didn't happen overnight. It took a couple of years to build trust. So take time. It's worth it sometimes, especially for when it comes to children or animals or core relationships. Best friends, sometimes you'll have the spark at the beginning, but what makes it like ride or die energy is that you've been through so much. So just take your time in the relationships. We see too many movies. That's the problem. Too many, and it doesn't have to just be Hollywood, just wherever the movie's made. Too many movies that suggest that in a 90-minute period of time, you can meet someone and just, figure it all out. It's not that easy. Sometimes it is easier, but oftentimes it takes a little bit of work, especially when it comes to like family, core relationships that you don't always get a chance to actively choose. All right. Let me just look if there's anything else that you need to know, and then I'm going to look at some of the questions that members posed to me in the post. Okay. What else do we need to look at with love, relationships, acceptance, matters of the heart? Okay, one more time. Another sort of version of temperance and balance and all of that. So it's so funny that we keep getting the same thing. Don't rush. Really just one foot in the water, one foot on land, taking your time and listening to your higher self. Because I will say, for the core relationships in my life, I've known at the beginning how it was going to play out on some levels. Again, take your time in getting to know someone, but also if you get an initial sort of like, be careful message, be careful. If you get like, this is worth my time and energy, follow that. Because every time I've gotten one of the extremes, like this person's trouble or this person's amazing, it's been accurate. Really, I've never been wrong in those situations. You usually know the winners and the troublemakers right off the bat. Then there's a lot of people that just fall in the middle. But I think the important thing, because we keep seeing the temperance angel come through, is listen to your judgment, listen to your higher self, and don't push it. And that's the takeaway there. All right, I'm going to take a look at some of the stuff that you guys wrote on the member post. So let's see what some of the things are that you're dealing with right now. But I wanted to briefly look at love. Okay, so other things that you were talking about. I think we looked a little bit at healing, but I can look at forgiveness. That's a good idea. Inner spark, that's also fun. All right, so let's look. I want to see if there's anything else that we don't cover sometimes in the weekly collective. Okay. All right, so let's start off with, there are some other ones about deciding how to step. Okay, this one is aligned with what we already talked about. So I like the idea of, how do I step into a leadership role? So, we have that justice card that came through toward the middle, and I was like, it's time to decide. We had the Hermit around October that came through, where you have to step into the spotlight. So whether you're very comfortable being in a leadership position, or whether this is maybe your first time, how do you get out of your headspace? How can you step into the star power? Good question. Okay, we know that. We're going to pull oracle cards to help because it's literally the same card. Interesting. Interesting that it came through. These have been powerful readings. The weekly collective had the same odd synchronicities that came through. Also, I mean, I'm using lots of decks here, so it's so bizarre that we're seeing fireplaces and flames, the hermit, the star energy coming through. All right, so we got the how. So how do you come out of your hermit phase and into the star? Chamber of the violet flame, karmic release, radical transformation. So the traveler's card in this deck does indicate really big breakthroughs. Karmically speaking, in 2025, anybody that chooses to watch this is drawn to it for a reason. You've ended a cycle. You're done. And whatever it is that's keeping you under the shroud of the hermit, it's just a blanket at this point. It's like a little kid with his safety blanket. You don't need your blankie anymore. You can let it go because you are different. But there's the realization, the ownership of it. I am worthy. I am ready. Let's do it. And it's kind of like a person that's in what Spirit's showing me is a race. And it's the blank that they shoot, to kind of like the sounding whistle or the when they're shooting the gun. Sometimes we just need that sound or that visual to just, and then we go. And so I feel like something needs to push you. So maybe a person, it may just be like, if not now, then when. But Violet Flame, you can use this as a meditation tonight before you watch whatever you're going to watch on TV or go out and celebrate, before you put anything into your system that is not sort of clear. Clear your mind and say, I want to heal. I want to really bring myself into a place where I don't need it anymore. As you watch the fireworks on New Year's Eve tonight, or for those of you that are watching the next day, Happy New Year's to those in Australia, New Zealand, and beyond. But just imagine with each burst of the fireworks that you're letting go of some karmic cycles that no longer serve you. You're done. You don't need it anymore. It's in the past. Let it go. So feel also the expansive energy of the fireworks too. This is a time for potential to come in. You can look at this beautiful color and imagine, by the way, you can work with Saint Germain. I have a very old video. Sometime I'll do another one. But you can just call in Saint Germain, an Ascended Master, and say, please bring forth this healing energy. And imagine that you pull it through your crown chakra all the way through your body, and you just feel this warm, expansive blanket that is healing and releasing and opening you up. It can heal emotional wounds, physical wounds, and karmic wounds. It's a really powerful meditation. Sometime in the year ahead, I'll do an updated version. So I'll add it to my list. You've got this. I mean, I really feel like this flame, this passion, can go as big as you want it to go. And so I was listening to a TikTok, and now it makes sense earlier this morning. So I've yet to see Wicked because my dog was sick and I didn't get a chance to go to the theaters, but I'm going to watch it. But I think it's in Defying Gravity. There's a line that Elphaba does where she's like saying, and I'm paraphrasing, like you wouldn't know what's possible until you try. And so there's so much that you can do and see, but you just have to give it a shot. So let yourself go for it, because that's the only way you're going to figure out how far you can go. And often you can go further than you think. There's another movie that comes to mind. So if you've never seen Gattaca, it was in the late 90s. Uma Thurman's in it. I can't remember the guy lead. I can see him, but I can't think of his name. But there's this line where it's a futuristic movie where they focus on genetics as how amazing you are. So you have to have like perfect genes. He's not perfect. He has like a heart condition. But he has this like pivotal race with his brother. And there's something that he says, which is key. He's like, I just kept swimming like there was never going to be a return trip. I was just going to go to the other side if I needed to. Sometimes we just have to push ourselves beyond our body, beyond what we think is possible. That's what athletes do, not to the point of injury, but like there's a mental block sometimes where, again, we can defy gravity, we can defy expectations, we can have a breakthrough. I really feel like it's cognitive. There's something where you think you can't, but you can, okay? Ethan Hawke, yeah, thank you so much. So anyway, that's what I was pulling, and that's what I was kind of thinking of, and it's inspiring me to see the movie because I haven't seen it yet. I've seen the Broadway production. It came out here to LA, and I saw that, and I was impressed. It was several years ago, so I kind of know what I'm getting into, but I'd forgotten so much of it, and I don't have that song memorized, but I like that line about just kind of seeing what's possible, right? You have to push yourself. All right, let's take a look and see what else some of you were asking me. Oh, this is good. I mean, I think this is in alignment with everything. How can I feel like I'm enough? Great question there from Anne. So let me go ahead and choose a different deck. And how can we focus on you are enough? Let's take a look at the crows and see what they have to say. I laugh because the cards are showing you're enough. So we're going to go to the Oracle card to get beyond the obvious, because this literally is value and worth. But you have to say, one of the things is just saying, believing, and resonating on all levels, the enoughness. We're making up a word there, but I like it. Just quoting what Anne said. Okay. Got it. This is actually really helpful in how to figure it out. The last one is the most important, and it doesn't mean that you don't care. Indifference, meaning that there's another line from like RuPaul, which is what you think about me is none of my business. So do something because you feel like it's right, because it matters, because you care about it. Don't care so much about what someone else thinks with respect to that. Obviously, we do want to listen to constructive criticism. Obviously, we want to be sensitive, all of that. But it's like more, if you're just going to throw negativity, I'm going to use it as manure, or I'm just not going to pay attention to it at all. That's the level of indifference that will help you. You're enough, and if someone doesn't let you in at the cool kids table at school, they're not enough for you. Who cares? I don't need that. Thanks. I'm not going to waste my time doing this. I shouldn't have to prove myself to you. So it's very interesting. I had a Reiki teacher that relayed this to me once when I had a really difficult person in my life. I said, why am I thinking about this person? She said, exactly. Why are you thinking about this person? Change it up. It's a little boring. She was just kind of giving me a nudge. So I just started changing it up and looking at other things and focusing on myself and not about this one negative person. And it diminished their impact, their power, and then they kind of withered away and went in their own direction. And I couldn't care less right now. Like we're done. So that level of indifference can help you focus on what matters most, you. You're worrying too much about others. Some of you, not all of you. But otherwise, you could just be worrying too much about perfection, or there still needs to be this feeling of like, I can do it. Composure. So one thing that after a decade of doing this on YouTube, I really don't pay attention to trolls. If there's someone that's just going to spew something negative, I don't have time for that. I got to focus on something else. I'll walk the dog, I'll meditate, I'll block or delete. I'm like, I don't need that. It's not even worth my time. There's always going to be someone that is going to try to throw a rotten tomato or something. So stay composed, don't sweat the small stuff, and then take some time to relax and have some fun. And I love that we have a sloth here. Can we get any more like on the nose with take your time? Sloths don't move quickly, but they're happy. They're taking their time. Anything worth doing is worth doing right and worth enjoying the process of creation. So there you go. Good question. I'm laughing at the tarot at how like we keep getting things like the Hermit or Temperance card to answer questions that we've already seen. So there you go. All right. What's next? Let me just do a refresh to make sure I didn't miss anything on this particular one. Okay. Just finding, okay, so we'll look at finances. I think that's a universal thing here. And loneliness is a good question. I'm going to take like 3 more and then we'll move, and then I'll kind of wrap up for today because I wanted this to be brief here. But, ooh, this one's fantastic. Okay, this is what we're going to focus on because I think it's a universal thing too. We're going to look at grief and loneliness, not something you would always look at on New Year's, but if there's anything that you're grieving, and it could be anything, financial, love, whatever, let's look at grief first, and then we'll focus a little bit on the loneliness piece, but grief first. You are you have everything you need. So the Emperor card or the Empress card is like universal mother, father, God, universe energy. So when we lose someone, we find the strength within. It doesn't take away the pain or the loss, right? But it does show us something that we didn't know we had. Power, strength, resilience. There's a silver lining. You could also reach out and find a proxy for this in the form of a teacher, a counselor, or a friend. But you do have that power within. You are more self-reliant than you think. Just looking at this one more time, is there anything else with respect to grief? And for those who have lost a parent, I see it, I feel it, I've been through it. So we have Portia coming through. One thing that this is helping you overcome is the limitations. One more time, we're getting this karmic release. Let go of the need to be right. I think this is especially true for parents, parents or authority figures. Sometimes when they're gone, there's this wish, like, I didn't get to say this, or we still had this struggle. Energetically, they're moving on, you're moving on, and now you realize that it's not worth it in any other relationship. So again, we're kind of going back to this. There's no time to waste with people that don't listen or that are stuck. So now that that energy is out of your sphere, even a divorce would count for this grieving energy. Now that that person's kind of out of your general vicinity, you realize that they were imposing some limits, limited belief systems, perhaps, on you that are no longer present. So I'm actually seeing silver linings here. And I also feel like you can do this, but you don't have to do this alone. That's why the Emperor came through. It is really important, especially in the early stages of grief. If you need to reach out, if you need to get that support, absolutely do it. Okay. What was I going to look at? Loneliness. If you're feeling alone or lonely, what do we need to know? I'm going to use a different deck for this. I'm going to go back to this one. Okay. Seriously? The universe is saying, what are you limiting yourself? It is an unlimited card. I don't think that's ever happened while we're doing it. So let's do it one more time. The sky is the limit here. That was funny. So I want to clarify the travelers, and it's kind of like, stop it. Like, there's no need to clarify this. Yeah, it's done. Okay. It is around the acceptance of death sometimes. Something is over, but something bigger wants to take its place. So I've seen different family members struggle with death and loss. I've been fortunate enough, like one of my guides is actually an angel of death or transformation. And what it's taught me when it's come through in sort of communication is that there is a time and a place where our soul is done karmically and energetically, and it's time to let go. So this is also true. It doesn't always mean that you're losing someone. It can also just mean that you've grown apart, right? And so it's time to release, time to transform. So I'm getting now that whatever came to pass that might be making you feel alone or lonely, this too will pass. It could take a minute or two. When I lost my mom, it took 2 full years, I would say, for me to fully move through my own grief process to the point that I'm fine now, but I wasn't for a long time. But I kept moving through the process of grief. So losing a job, losing a friend, divorcing someone, moving away from something, graduating, retiring, they're all forms of transformation. Each one carries with it a different process of grieving. And here's the thing, you're not alone. Get out there and explore. There are other like-minded individuals. And literally all the cards flew out because the universe was like, it's not so neatly defined in one card. But one of the things here that I'm seeing is it's bigger than this one situation or you. That's why I feel like you would benefit with working with others. That's the one thing that we can see as the cards exploded on the table. Okay? All right. I feel like we've covered most of the main topics that need to be covered today. One last one, actually, as I'm looking at this, is the inner saboteur. So let's look at that, and then I'll do a final card for the year ahead. All right, so the inner saboteur is a really, really good one. How can you move beyond sabotaging yourself? Really, how many times do we have to get the Ace of Pentacles this reading? So you owe it to yourself to just go for it again one more time. That's why I feel like we've reached what we need to in this particular reading, because the messages are repetitious. So, but maybe you all need to hear it one more time. You can do it. When you feel to your, like in your mind, I can't do it, bookmark this reading, bookmark this time, come back to this and listen. Stop the sort of repetitive and self-deprecating and self-saboteur energy that's saying you can't. You can. Try again. Try in a different space, different location, with a different group, but I already get that you've got it. It's just about accepting it, embracing it, and allowing it. Easier said than done. I'll pull one last oracle to help you through that, but I'm telling you, you can do this. We have power, swiftness, and ambition. So for some of you, it's just about allowing yourself to feel powerful, to move quickly, like I said, the sounding whistle, and it's okay to be ambitious. We came to this planet with a checklist. We're supposed to be trying to accomplish some things on that checklist, so go for it. Okay? All right, one last question. This is your chance. If there's something specific that I didn't have a chance to look at, formulate the question in your mind. Let me give the cards a shuffle and let's see what Spirit has to say. The Star. So this is an emphatic yes. This is saying that where there's a dream, where there's a will, there's a way. It's also what we've been focusing on, which is, at the very least, just saying this is who I am. And I am not supposed to blend in. There's a unicorn on this card. So being singular, being unique, walking your path, even at the risk of rejection. Before my dad passed away in particular, there was just certain things that I had to say. So we had like an important conversation where I had a letter and I was like, there's some stuff I need you to know. And we had the conversation and it cleared the karma and we were good. Because then I knew that he could pass and he would know me for who I was. And so we don't need to wait for a death for that to happen. So be yourself. And I said something powerful in that conversation, which was, if you reject me, then I reject your rejection, because we don't have any more time left. You're sick and we don't know how many more days, weeks, or months are left. So let's just get past this. And he was cool with it. And so sometimes we just have to be ourselves, even if it means risking a core relationship, because the relationship isn't going to be on solid ground if they're loving a projection of you. So the biggest gift you could give to yourself is to be authentic. And if somebody rejects it, reject the rejection and keep moving forward. Hold space for them to see the light. And if they don't, that's their karma, that's their loss. But you're going to be stronger and you're going to pull in people that see you. It could be who you want to love. It could be what you want to do, where you want to live. Whatever ideological thing it might be, this is you just sort of saying, I have to exist in this truth. I have to reach for the stars. I have to go for this. And I'm sorry if that is confusing or confounding to your limited point of view. You won't say it that way, but this is what you're saying in your mind's eye. Like, I have to be myself. So this is your chance to really spread your wings and fly. All right, folks? Powerful message coming through for the new year. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. We're going to wrap up. I'm going to kind of like express some gratitude here. Just a couple of quick notes here. Like I said, all of these readings are free if you want to show some love and support. You can subscribe, like, leave a comment when this goes on replay. Let me know what resonated. Follow me on social. That's a good way to know when I do some of these special ones. Big shout out to members and Patreons who also kind of gave me some questions here for today. They were very helpful. I appreciate you. If you want to give back with super stickers or super chat, you can also do that. If you'd like to get more information about me, you can always go to my website. Quick reminder, I do not give private readings or use direct messages. Okay, Apollo's still in the other room, so we'll let him be. I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for an amazing year. I'll be doing, like I said, the remaining videos. I'm going to do at least one today, maybe two, and then I'm going to try to do 2 per day as we go through the rest of this week to get them all up. I just had to take care of my health, so thank you for allowing me to do that. All right, I'm going to give some shout outs here for people that gave back with super stickers and super chat. All right, so let me get to that page. We're going to start off with anyone that either became a member or was gifted a membership. Let's see what's going on here. All right, so today we actually got a decent amount. Thank you guys so much. Welcome to or welcome back to the following. I'm just going to do first names and do my best to pronounce it. Lisa, Nature Lover, Tiber, Deborah, Marilyn, Inner Sparkle Monkey, Nikitha, Cloud or Claude, Drea, Shannon, Dee Dee, Kitsy, I think it is, Claire, Amber, Catherine, Mittel, JJ, GM, Melissa, Cincy, CJ, Dura, and Rebecca Lynn. Thank you and welcome to all of you. All right, let's take a moment to look at all the super stickers and super chat, and then I'll recognize any sort of anniversaries or member messages. Okay, thanks to the following for giving back a little bit. I appreciate it. Rachel or Raquel, Ralu15, Jeannie, Cloud or Claude, Jenna, Popcorn, Phoebe, Schoolhouse, Bonnie, Bernadette. Thanks, Bernadette, for the extra bit there too. Colette, Sarah, Raina, Binby, Monica, Darren, Shelley, Catcar, and Quiet Play. And let's celebrate some member milestones as well and messages. So again, Bernadette, thank you so much. I appreciate that extra. That really means a lot. Let's see. And again, Colette, I like that I can heart these as we're going along. Sarah, thank you. Let's see. Let's see. Fan funding. That's what I was looking for. Okay, here we go. So Jill, 28 months. Thank you so much and Happy New Year's to you. Kat, thank you for gifting a membership. I appreciate that. Lorna, 38 months of membership. Happy New Year as well. I'm glad that I got to do this while it was still New Year's in the UK. Let's see. I'm just hearting the other ones as I go along here. Schoolhouse Intuitive, thank you for gifting a membership. I appreciate that. I see you. Marilyn, thank you and welcome. Lovey, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Let's see. Bernadette, also thank you for gifting 5. Bonnie, I'm glad that you enjoyed the extra readings. That was my way to also kind of give back as I was producing the rest of them. But I like these shorter ones too. We'll be doing more of them in the new year. So I hope that they resonated with you. Let's see. Koya Play, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I see you. I appreciate you as well. Marjorie, thank you for 39 months of being a member and have a new year to you as well. Happy New Year. Let's see here. And I think that's everything. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I just want to wish you a very happy holiday season, a healthy and abundant new year. And this is a reading that you can come back to, and I'll try to put it in like a featured space so that you can see this when you need to. In the meantime, again, wishing you all the best. Focus on dreams, manifestation, hopes, putting positive energy out here over the course of the next 24 hours, focusing again on possibilities. You can do this. Until I see you again, wishing you a very happy New Year's. Thank you again for your time and energy. Bye-bye.